really been a horrendous experience for everybody.
In areas of the state still trying to recover from wind, rain, and mountain snow.
School programs from here to Bellingham to Tri-Cities are going to feel this for a while.
We're under another first alert for more wind.
Gusty wind will continue for some areas into this evening. In your first alert forecast, I'll show you the new watches, warnings, and advisories that have been issued.
Some good news coming from this week's storms. The slopes are ready for skiers.
Despite some rain and wind, opening day was celebrated here at Crystal Mountain. I'm Connor Borden. Coming up, we'll share how this ski season is shaping up.
I'm Drew Mickelson. A man pleads guilty to a 2015 killing and is expected to only get 5 years in prison. Coming up, hear from the Pacific County prosecutor who explains why that may have been the longest sentence they could get.
I would say a very, very bad accident happens every couple of weeks now.
A stretch of road in Seattle seems to be seeing more and more crashes.
Feels like a hazard waiting to happen.
Tonight, neighbors are asking for a change on Rainier Avenue South.
This is King 5 News at 5 with Joyce Taylor.
And once again, we are under a first alert. Let's get straight to weather coverage tonight. A wind advisory is in effect for parts of western Washington right now after a bomb cyclone and a second storm system ripped through western Washington this week. Checking the mountains first, both Snoqualmie and Stevens passes remain mostly clear right now. No restrictions on either of those passes. In the lowlands, cleanup is still underway, with Puget Sound Energy still reporting widespread outages. About 115,000 people remain without power right now. Good evening, I'm Joyce Taylor. We have team coverage tonight. Connor Board is tracking the early season conditions on Crystal Mountain. Eric Wilkinson and Bridget Chavez are in some of the hardest hit communities, meeting with people trying to figure out what's next. Bridget, we want to begin with you.
Joyce, there is still a lot of damage here in Issaquah, and business owners are just starting to see the extent of it. This violin shop had its roof crushed by a tree that came down, and that destroyed priceless instruments that were inside.
We've been moving everything that we can out of this space.
With one powerful blow, the roof
And the tree went through here.
and everything inside Hammond Ashley Violins in Issaquah was destroyed.
This was full of violins and cellos and upright string basses.
Bryce Van Paris showed us an up-close look at the destruction.
I can't speculate how much, but I mean, a lot of these instruments are several hundred to a few thousand each, and there was quite a few of them.
They're still without power, and the gas and water lines were completely
We
severed.
had about 9 inches of standing water. They've been doing a lot of clearing out here, so it was actually worse.
The damage extends far beyond these walls.
School programs from here to Bellingham to Tri-Cities are going to feel this for a while.
30 music instructors are now without jobs.
These private string teachers that make their living teaching violin lessons and cello lessons are now displaced, and they need to find a place to go.
Hammond Ashley Violins has been part of the Issaquah community since 1964. Van Paris says they will find a way to come back from this.
We're not quitting. This is something that I feel very passionate and personal about. Over this 30 years I've been doing this, so I just have to regroup and get restarted as quick as possible.
Puget Sound Energy says the bulk of the damage was here in King County. They are hoping to get the power back on by tomorrow afternoon. And our team coverage continues now with Eric Wilkinson, who is tracking the damage in Lake Stevens. Eric?
Thank you, Bridget. Folks here still don't know the full extent of the damage here. Now, we do know that here at this private campsite, about 50 campers and RVs have been seriously damaged, and the situation is still so dangerous that camp managers are not allowing folks back on the property, and that's frustrating folks who are desperate to know if their homes are still intact. After surviving the storm, Karen Foley's been living in her car and with friends for the past 3 days.
Well, it was horrible. I mean, I heard probably 6 trees fall around me.
Now, all she wants to do is go home, but she can't.
I can't get in. I just stopped over there and asked if I could walk in, and they said no.
The Lake Connor Park RV campground, where she and about 1,500 others live on and off, remains shut down. This is why.
It's like a war zone.
Video taken by a member of the private park shows just a fraction of the destruction.
Oh man, this is my cousin's. He just bought it like not even 6 months ago.
At least 50 RVs and campers crushed by more than 200 trees, some of them 200 feet tall and 5 feet across. Right now, no one's being let into the park, frustrating some who say they're not getting enough information from management.
We're just controlling the things that we can control.
Managers tell us it's a simple matter of safety because live wires are still down and trees remain unsteady.
It is very dangerous right now. So that's why we're not letting people go in.
Some living here say diseased trees should have been cut down to avoid such devastation. But a park forestry team member says 120 trees have been taken down since April.
We have probably another 100 tagged, but we got to the ones that we were most concerned about. But, you know, in a storm like this, you don't know what's going to come down.
Only about 75% of the park has been surveyed for damage, meaning more campers are likely destroyed. For now, only people with emergencies, like Karen, who retrieved her medications, are being escorted in and out as the long wait continues.
Just hoping that we don't have to stay in the car for long.
Some good news in all this. Nobody here at the campground was hurt during the storm, and we're told by park managers that the earliest people will likely be able to return is Sunday. Live in Lake Stevens, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
And again, Puget Sound Energy is still working to get power restored across the region. The agency released a statement on social media, writing, quote, "To our customers without power, we know that you are frustrated. The system was so strong that it was comparable to a hurricane and did unprecedented damage to our high voltage transmission system. PSC plans to have most customers back online by Saturday afternoon." So we want to bring in our meteorologist, Leah Pizzetti. Can you compare what we saw over the weekend to the storms that are more typical in the southeast?
Right, Joyce. That's a bold statement there. Comparable to a hurricane. It's kind of true to a degree. We measure our hurricanes based off of wind speed. 74-mile-per-hour winds are that basis for Category 1 hurricanes. And we have seen gusts that are near and at that scale. In fact, today we actually did see a 71-mile-per-hour gust at Crystal Mountain. We did see gusts on Tuesday evening that were beyond that 74-mile-per-hour metric. The big difference, well, there are a lot at play here, but the biggest difference that I want to take note of is the fact that these are gusts. When we're talking about hurricanes, that's sustained wind. That is wind that is going to blow consistently for at least a minute at a time. These are those quick hitting gusts. So yes, we do have that metric that we hit, but at the same time, they're not necessarily comparable. However, we do still have wind at play. These are our current watches, warnings, and advisories from the National Weather Service. Everywhere in brown here is still under a wind advisory, so we are keeping an eye on winds that will continue this evening. Not quite as strong as Tuesday, but still could pack a punch. We'll have a closer look at these advisories in just a bit.
Thank you. Well, second warming shelters open on Mercer Island, where many are still under a shelter-in-place order. The Mercer Island Community and Event Center and Islander Middle School will both be open to people who need a place to get warm, to access the internet, and charge their phones and their computers.
I wanted to charge my phone and my battery, and I've been, like trying to do that at coffee shops, and they're just packed. And I see a lot of beautiful outlets here, so I'm very happy.
City officials say anyone living along this highlighted stretch of Island Crest Way between Southeast 74th and 78th Streets should stay inside. The shelters in place order was lifted last night for families along East Mercer Way. Well, a live look over Crystal Mountain tonight, where the lifts are now closed after the first day back on the slopes for pass holders. The mountain is expected to open tomorrow for everybody else. A closer look at the opening weekend weather. It's coming up for you in just 10 minutes. Well, with a wind advisory in effect, make sure that you keep the King 5 app handy. You can check weather conditions anytime and watch the latest forecast on our streaming channel, King 5 Plus. Both apps are free to download. Breaking right now at 5 o'clock, the Seattle mayor's office has confirmed it will make a decision on a new police chief by the end of the year. Sources tell King 5 that interim police chief Sue Rahr narrowed down a list of several candidates earlier this month, and Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell is in the process of reviewing those candidates. A final decision expected next month. The move comes after former police chief Adrian Diaz was reassigned after several current employees filed lawsuits against him and SPD, alleging gender and racial discrimination and retaliation for reporting their concerns. Well, King 5 is under a first alert right now as a wind advisory remains in place for parts of western Washington in areas already slammed by that bomb cyclone. About 115,000 people remain without power right now. That's according to Puget Sound Energy. We are checking in with meteorologist Leah Pizzetti in less than 3 minutes for an update.
It's day one. It's the first day. It's opening day.
Skiers and snowboarders headed to Crystal Mountain today for the opening, but were met with some wind and rain. Because of high winds, 2 lifts were closed for part of the day. The resort opened 9 days earlier than last year, all thanks to early snowfall. King 5's Connor Board has the story from Crystal Mountain tonight.
It's a special day at Crystal Mountain.
It's day one. It's the first day. It's opening day.
A day that calls for an early alarm.
I got to the parking lot at 8:30. I left my house at 6.
Because it's the start of a new season with new snow.
I get to feel the snow, and we don't have snow down where I live.
And new goals.
Try a double black diamond.
Day on hill, baby.
People from all over western Washington were out on the slopes despite rain and wind through some of the day.
We're just stoked to be out here. Doesn't matter if it's wet, some fresh snow. Being on a chairlift, it feels good.
With last year's ski season having a rough start with late snowfall, this early opening before Thanksgiving is welcome.
Better than last year for sure, but that was a low bar, and hopefully this year is much better in the long run.
Here at the base area of Crystal Mountain, there's already 2 feet of natural snow, and staff says that's a lot more than last year.
We have more snow now than we did last January.
Peter Dale is the director of mountain operations and says these are the best snow conditions they have had at opening in around 5 years.
Yeah, we've got about half of the mountain open, 6 lifts open today. That's drastically more than last year. Last year we really opened with just a couple of lifts operating.
While opening day is now in the books.
I don't want to go home now, but it's time to go back to work.
With a colder and wetter than average winter expected, hopes are high for the rest of the season.
Always more snow, more pow days. Hope La Nina comes through this year and blesses us with some more snow.
At Crystal Mountain, Connor Board, King 5 News.
And here's a look at all of the resorts now open, including White Pass and Mount Baker. Stevens Pass still in wait and see mode, expecting a mix of rain and snow today. Over the past week, Stevens has seen about 27 inches of snow fall, but nothing in the past 24 hours. Right now, the resort is still hoping to open December 6th. We'll, of course, let you know. Let's get back to meteorologist Leah Pizzetti and our first alert for heavy winds expected. What's happening?
Hey, Joyce. Yeah, we do still have some lingering wind out there, and we are still in first alert weather mode. We are going to let this expire this evening, though, so we're on the tail end of it. A few areas still tracking that strong wind this evening, but then we're going to catch a little bit of a break, and I have good news. As we head into next week, we're going to catch overall, everybody's going to get a breather from this very active weather. So these are our current watches, warnings, and advisories that are in place. We actually let these downgrade a little bit. The National Weather Service has downgraded to a wind advisory for the coast. For this area, we're talking gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We'll let this expire early tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Same timing for our northern communities. A wind advisory is in place for western Whatcom and Skagit counties. For our islands and for the Admiralty Inlet, we have gusts up to 50 miles per hour in that region as well. Also going to let that expire at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So let's take a look at that. I do think the strongest wind is going to be in the next 2 to 3 hours. Here's a look at 7:30 this evening. And yes, we have those gusts around really those northern areas, that northwest interior through the strait and then over our north coast. We'll see those gusts up to 30, 40 miles per hour consistently hitting. We've already seen gusts in the 50 mile per hour range today. We'll let that calm down into tomorrow morning and then look at this. We don't have any first alert days on the horizon. We're going to see, yes, some hit and miss showers rolling through through, including tonight and tomorrow. But overall, this is very manageable, normal fall weather. Here we are this evening, and we'll roll a couple showers through Puget Sound, through the lowlands, but it's really overall going to be dry. It's just quick hitting light showers as far as rain is concerned. Into tomorrow morning, this is 8:30 a.m. here, and most of us will wake up to dry weather. We'll keep some light showers over the Olympic Peninsula around Hood Canal as well. Into our daytime hours tomorrow, we'll stay mostly dry, but into tomorrow evening, we'll brush a few showers into the lowlands. This is 7 p.m. So your Saturday evening plans could see some hit and miss light showers, but it should not be a washout. Temperatures for tomorrow actually pretty seasonal. This is normal for this time of year. We're hovering right around that 50-degree threshold, give or take a little bit, upper 40s into the low 50s. So places along the coast like Forks, you'll track rain chances all day long with those temperatures staying in the 40s. But as we push around Puget Sound, this is Everett. We'll stay dry most of the day. In fact, we'll even see the sun peeking out. It'll be really lovely. Some light showers rolling in into tomorrow evening. Same thing around the Seattle metro area. Overall, a dry day. Temperatures staying right around that 50-degree marker. Down around South Sound, we'll wake up to temperatures in the mid-40s, and then we'll bring some of those light showers in at the end of the day. So overall, tomorrow looks pleasant. Sunday looks like we have a little bit of a better shot for a little more rain, but even then, it's not going to be too much. This is 10 a.m. here. We'll see some light to moderate rainfall favoring our southern areas. We'll push that up to the north during our evening hours. So Sunday looks a little bit more wet than Saturday, but even then, accumulations in the tenths at best. But check out the end of the week as we head into Thanksgiving. Into the end of this holiday week, we'll be drying out, but cooling down. Temperatures in the upper or mid 40s for our daytime highs.
And still ahead tonight, recall expanding what's being added to the list of bagged carrots possibly contaminated with E. coli. But first, an escalation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, what we're learning about the experimental missile launched into Ukraine and why Russia's president is calling it a warning.
This is King 5 News at 5 with Joyce Taylor.
Parts of western Washington are under another wind advisory tonight after that bomb cyclone and a second storm rolled through this week. About 110,000 people are still without power this hour. That's according to Puget Sound Energy. Meteorologist Leah Pizzetti is back with us. What's the latest tonight?
Hey, Joyce. So I think the big concern tonight is that what we've seen is that strong wind on Tuesday may have loosened some branches. And we have wind picking up tonight, not as strong as Tuesday. But if we do have any loose branches or trees, this could be kind of the nail in the coffin for more of those limbs coming down. So we're keeping an eye on that. But the bottom line is this is not as strong as Tuesday's event. These are our current gusts right now. Whidbey Island clocking in a gust at 40 miles per hour. Bellingham at 43 miles per hour. Look at this. Hoquiam at 55 miles per hour. So yes, over along the coast and then our northern communities are feeling the strongest wind. That is where we find our wind advisories for tonight. The National Weather Service has downgraded these actually, so winds not looking as strong as initially expected, but we will still continue this advisory along the coast until 4 a.m. because of those gusts at and around 50 miles per hour. And then up to the north, same timeline. We'll let this expire at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning for western Whatcom and Skagit counties, and then of course those islands up to the north. So something we'll continue to keep an eye on tonight. Joyce.
Thanks, Leah. Well, we've heard over and over again the warning from officials about generators and why they should stay outside of your home. And here is why. Eastside Fire and Rescue says that it responded to more than 6 calls for generator-related fires, carbon monoxide alarms, and possible carbon monoxide poisonings. UW-Medicine is echoing the warning against bringing those external heat sources inside. The hospital says that they can release toxic gases into your home. You should call 911 right away if you have any symptoms like headaches, nausea, shortness of breath. And if you don't already have one, consider installing a carbon monoxide detector inside your home.